throwing shade to any other project. They're just in our way.
And then you guys got investigated with the British ad regulators. I thought it was kind of funny at the time, I'll be honest.
We belong in the conversation with all these major global leaders.
It's a tale as old as time, right? Rug pulls and crypto, they go hand in hand. Hi guys, and welcome to What's the Meta. I'm your host, Ryan S. Gladwin, and I'm here with Pedro Vidal, the Community Relations Officer of Floki. How are you doing, mate?
Wonderful. And yourself?
I'm doing all good, thank you. This whole journey started when Elon Musk, of all people, adopted a Shiba Inu puppy called Floki. As we can all expect by now, numerous meme coins were created, and now 3 years later, Floki has established itself as one of the biggest meme coins in the world. At the current time of recording, it's currently the 6th largest meme coin by market cap, and at its peak, it was worth $3 billion. So as someone who was part of the team throughout that whole journey, what was that like, going from a relatively unknown meme coin to, $3 billion?
Well, it was really exciting, and really would love to go down memory lane, so to speak. So thank you for the platform. And I'm sure your audience, wants to know, what makes like Floki different and how we got here. That being said, in the summer of 2021, when Floki was unveiled and it launched, it was an exciting time in blockchain. Right? It's easy to look back now, right, and see how far we've come in the last couple of years. But at that time, meme projects were really, really starting to take off, right? When you're looking at the evolution of meme coins in general, right? If you look at Doge as being first generation meme coins, then Shiba Inu ushering in the second generation of meme coins, firmly believe that Floki brought in the third evolution of meme coins, which is the blending of obviously of the meme culture, but also like with utility. But to your point, to your question, it was very exciting, right? To see like Floki grow, and it just sprawled, right? And just to right over to 3.5 billion market cap at the all-time high. It was just really exciting because the community was able to rally and come together. But like many things in blockchain, it isn't always like a straight shot to where you want to go. There's a lot of challenges. The space needs a lot of clarity. There's a lot of negative things that happen in blockchain. So I think it's important that we rejoice in the good, the bad, and the ugly, but to be like fully, transparent, that enhanced vigilance is necessary in the space. So as we look at the lifeline of Floki, so to speak, it started like many projects in blockchain with a good idea, with a developer that may or may not have had the best intentions at heart, but essentially like rug the project. Then it was still a good community. Another developer was brought in, and then that developer, left with the funds.
It's a tale as old as time, right? Rug pulls and crypto, they go hand in hand.
Yeah. And for many, they would just turn their back on the space altogether. Many would just like lose faith in the project. But there was something special here, and the community like certainly deserved to be part of a movement as opposed to just like a project, and even more a project that just went to the grave. So one of the things that was exciting is that our current core team were community members at the time, and they actually rallied together and created, right, the leadership needed to be able to take Floki to where it is today. So while most projects have a developer and they have a team, they create a project, then they find the community, Floki is a little different. This was very much built by us, for us, right, under the leadership of the current core team. And then from that point, we had to decide, okay, so what is the spirit of Floki and what makes us different? Do we want to be like every other meme project, which is, a meme isn't necessarily like a negative thing, and we embrace the moniker, but we wanted to push it forward, right? How can we make blockchain better? How can we make the meme movement and that experience better? And in order to do that, we need to diversify, be different than what's out there. And it very quickly we decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to improve blockchain in every space that we participate in. And we firmly planted our flag and said, okay, you know what? We're going to build a blockchain game. Right? It's going to be called Valhalla, and it's going to improve on the issues that have been plaguing blockchain gaming and play-to-earn gaming, which is basically the sustainability of the economy and the play-to-earn mechanics. Number one, the game has to be entertaining, but if we could fix those problems, then we push the technology forward. And to understand Floki, I always put it in this context as response to a question, right? Like, how far can a meme project go to make the space better? What can a meme project do that would surpass any expectations of what we've come to, accept that a meme project could do? And we set the ceiling very high. And we started with the development of that game. But that was essentially like our first stab. Okay, we're going to go for enhanced utility and we're going to fix these problems, but we want to do more along the way. And slowly but surely, we started to evolve, very heavy on the utility side, but never losing focus on what brought us here, which is our community and absolute, avail of being a meme project, which we embrace. But it's been slow but steady. Obviously, massive marketing led by our marketing director and core contributor, Saber, has been very, very critical in putting our brand where it belongs. Because mind you, some projects, all they care about is green candles. They don't care if they're here for a long time. For us, it was to make history. Some chase candles. We have a legacy that we want to build, and we want to be here for the long haul.
It's very apparent that Floki Inu is not just a meme coin that is funny for the meme, but something that is trying to bring utility to investors. And I'd love to touch on that a little bit later, but just to go right back to the beginning of how the token was created. So those two sort of rug pulls happen with rogue developers. Did you then abandon that contract and then create new ones each time? And now we're on sort of the third iteration of the Floki contract.
Yeah, so we had to, of course, make like all the necessary, corrections to have a successful project, right? And in blockchain and for those that, again, like not financial advice, but being in the space for a while, you want to measure a team's capacity to be able to execute at the highest levels. Number one. Number two, you want to be able to see how team members react whenever there's a problem, right? Some people just usually like back away. But the fact that there was, a new creation of a contract, that was obviously the right step forward. But outside of that, there's other challenges that came into the fold. One of them being an inflationary bug that was embedded into the contract that was, identified after the fact. So of course that needed to be remedied. So there's been tons of challenges, right, that have taken us through to our current version of our contract today. And we've been able to make certain adjustments so that we could secure our success moving forward. And it hasn't been easy. It's certainly been challenging, but we've overcome these challenges. And we've made certain adjustments to the way that we actually govern the project, because we actually are governed by a DAO. So now the community has power, and they could decide what to do with strategic decisions, whether we want to burn the cross-chain bridge. That proposal was approved. Mind you, these are very, very key decisions that the community has an opportunity to be able to give buy-in. Do you want a staking platform? Like, yes or no? Do you want to like burn this excess tokens? Like, yes or no? And these are just individual examples of how Floki is different. But yeah, so these certainly have all been challenges. But while most projects just dwell on the negative and wait for the market to get better, it doesn't really matter to us, because we build. Rain or shine, we develop.
Were you there when the rug pulls happened?
Yeah. I was seeing everything.
How did that feel?
When it's just in blockchain, obviously, like there's a feeling in your stomach, right, where you start to understand that, okay, so what's going to happen. But it was clear that our existing core team now, they didn't really waste any time, right? Of course, you have to deal with a very important component, which is the community, right? The community needs to be informed. They need to be given an opportunity to say, okay, look, there's greener pastures on this side, but we have to do X, Y, Z. Seeing that and experiencing that, it wasn't the first time, right, that certainly happened to me, or like personally, but the way that this community has reacted and been loyal and engaging is incredible.
How did that happen on the ground at the time? How did a group organize to then say, no, look, okay, we've suffered 2 rug pulls here, but we're going to reorganize, we're going to relaunch, we're going to create new socials. How did that actually happen? How quickly did it happen, and where did you guys gather?
Yeah, so essentially, like our existing core team now, like they had initial discussions on the best way to move forward, and it just happened like organically, right? Sometimes in the absence of leadership, the true leaders rise, right? And that's something that we've absolutely seen. It's almost like a story, like a beautiful story, right? That deserves to be a film, quite honestly, because you get almost every emotion that you would find in the life cycle of being exposed to the blockchain space, right? You get the hype, you get the hope, then you get the crash, and then hope again. I would say this, that everybody that's been in blockchain deserves an opportunity to experience the life cycle of what we've seen at Floki, because it could show what happens when things don't go according to plan. It shows what happens when you have strong leadership. It shows what's possible when you break away from the veil of limiting factors, right? Because when you're a meme project, you're not really supposed to have utility, right? It's not about that. It's about the hype. And again, nothing wrong with that, but we don't want to be like every other project. And quite frankly, we're not like every other project. So while it was like a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice, things happened the way that they were supposed to. Again, because this community deserved it. And there was something special about Floki from the very beginning that deserved to be essentially like reborn and revamped. And of course, under new leadership.
You said it should be a movie. What would the peak of that movie be? What would be the scene? You come out of the theaters and you go, "Wow, that one scene, that was the best scene of the whole movie."
I would have to say, because it's tough when you're speaking like on behalf of like 500,000 community holders, it can mean something different to everyone. I think to be completely objective and honest, we haven't hit that peak yet. Right. I think when you're looking at what our mission is to be the most widely utilized and popular cryptocurrency in the world, whenever we hit that mark.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that's particularly interesting about the story of Floki is, in many ways, this is sort of the first community takeover. I don't know if you've heard of this trend of community takeovers in meme coins, particularly this year. Billy, for example, we've had one of the guys on here to speak about it. They suffered a very similar thing to what happened with Floki. Token launched on Pumped Up Fun, got to a certain market cap, and then the guy rugged it. And the community rose up. There was 100, 200 people in a Telegram call, all trying to organize on how to make this meme rise. And it went up to hundreds of millions of dollars market cap. What do you think of this community takeover trend and what it says about crypto as a whole?
I mean, I think it plays very well, right, to the decentralized, nature of blockchain in general. And it gives opportunities for individuals to show what they could contribute. Right. And for most like blue chip projects that aren't like meme focused or generated in the meme space, they're like widget makers or like service providers, right? Like what they do is like what they do. But in the meme space, you could define what your project does, right? And with these community takeovers, I think it's healthy, especially if they have the best intentions at heart and they're willing to put in the work. And if you're able to do that and you're able to be ethical in your business practices and you're able to have vision, then you could certainly make waves in the space. So I'm all for it, right? And the more successful projects out there, the better it is for all.
I'm really interested in why you guys see utility in meme coins as such an important part of your project. I mean, looking at other projects in the meme coin sector, I mean, Dog with Hat literally brands itself as a dog with a hat. There is nothing else about that project. And they're one of the biggest meme coins by market cap. Other tokens like Giga Chad, they are focused on sort of the alpha male mindset that comes with it. Why, for you guys, was bringing blockchain utility important?
Well, we certainly didn't want to be like every other project, because what happens is that typically in the space and with this phenomenon that we've seen with the success of meme projects that have been like outperforming, right, traditional blue chip projects, is that there's usually like a bright light and then it burns quite fast, right? You could be the hot token of the cycle, but then outside of that, what made you successful, which is the community and people essentially wanting to get that Lambo, they move on to another project because there's nothing there to really keep everybody there believing in what's coming. And sometimes that's lack of vision, lack of execution. And for us, we didn't want to do that. Right? We understood from the very beginning that you could be the hot project today, right? But then in the next quarter, something new can come up. People start gravitating, towards that. So in order to be able to make the changes, we decided, okay, if we really want to hit like this milestone and these goals, we have to do a couple things, because you needed to dominate certain slivers of the blockchain space. All right. So you were to go to the gaming category under CoinMarketCap, just gaming in general, Floki's number 2. But mind you, our Valhalla MMORPG hasn't even gone live on mainnet yet. And that's just on the gaming. For play to earn, we're already number 1 and it hasn't even launched yet. So talk about, dominating, right, in the rankings. Imagine what's going to happen once the game goes out there, right? But we got into the DeFi, we're getting into education, we have the tokenization module, we have all these different things that are coming in. And more recently, we just launched our Floki trading bot, which is about to cross over $100 million in volume. And it's been launched out for only a month. So think about what's going to happen once we have enhanced features, to offer support for multiple chains. So the idea is, how can we make blockchain better? How can we make, certain instruments that people are going to use and make them better?
I think one thing that's interesting is, I mean, at what point are you no longer a meme coin? At what point do you become a utility token, a gaming token? For example, Church of the Smoking Chicken Fish It's a meme coin. It started as a meme coin on pump.fun. It's a silly, absurdist meme with a fish inside of a chicken smoking a Marlboro Red cigarette, but it's actually used as a veil for sort of teachings about morality and how to work hard. At what point are you a similar project of the meme is used as a veil to sort of bring utility to the crypto landscape?
No, I don't think we'll ever lose, right, the banner being under a meme, because then we would be disingenuous, right? What we're doing is we're changing the paradigm, right? Typically, what happens is that you create a product, you create something, or you create a company. And then as it starts to be successful, then you want to be able to identify, find a logo, find something, right, that can embrace the values, right? And then you throw that out there into the ether, do your marketing campaign. So people start associating that logo, that mascot with the products, the history, the lore of that specific product or company. In the meme space, it's a little different, right? Because you can create the logo and the mascot first and then start adding to it. What changes here is you can continue to add to it. Like, what is it that you're all about? How do you want to make the space different? And you start adding utility. So I think, well, we will always embrace the meme side of it, because we need to be true to our spirit on what got us here.
Many meme coins sort of just reject the idea of utility completely. Like I mentioned, dog with hat is a dog with a hat. It is nothing else. Meme coins as a whole sector sort of is focused on the idea of marketing and making your meme more viral. Mudeng is a great example. Recent meme coin that it shot up to hundreds of millions and it's since fallen. But that was all pushed by a Twitter account that was branded itself as like the main fan page, and it was able to sort of onboard people onto the meme coin. What have you guys learnt about marketing over your 3-year existence?
And marketing is important. I mean, it's, you can't state that enough, but it's how you do your marketing, because you can just buy a billboard for the sake of buying the billboard, but does it fall within the overarching strategy of your success? Like, who is it that you're truly trying to target? And one of the things that we noticed is that you could try to imitate somebody's actions on the marketing side, but it's very, very hard to duplicate it, right? Very, very hard. So luckily we're led by Saber, who is our marketing director and core contributor. And he's always looking for strategic values, strategic alliances, and partnerships that are not only very strong, but they serve our brand. So the big thing is, like, at least in our case, is, well, if we want to be at the very top of the world in what we do, then we need to go where many, many eyes are going to be looking, and where you would least expect a project like ours to be. And then, you could create a list of what that looks like, and then, essentially cross-reference that with our target market and demographics. But if you have a strong marketing campaign, you could put your brand in the right places. And we've, had wonderful partnerships in, like, all throughout, for example, like Europe and European football, in the APAC region, right, with, cricket, as well as, table tennis, like badminton. Outside of that, we were partners with Formula One and the Alfa Romeo vehicle. So these are all, like, certain things that are very exciting. We just partnered up with massive esports teams, OG and Alliance, and we're also in collegiate sports here in the United States, the Miami Hurricanes, their football, basketball for men and women's basketball. And there's been so much that we've done, like, along the way, but it's always true to us, right? Never anything cheap. We don't go for, like, low-hanging fruit. We make sure that we put our brand where it belongs, in the heartbeat, right, of certain sectors around the world, whether it's where crypto adoption is skyrocketing, for example, like in Nigeria, or like in Vietnam, certain places in Latin America, or you see us in Times Square, right, on a beautiful, like, screen, which we would never expect, to see that, but that's where we are. And you would never expect the success of a meme project to have utility. Well, then that's exactly what we do. We defy expectations. We shatter that glass ceiling, but we always have to execute at the highest levels, right? There is no room, all right, for error when it comes to that. Right, your brand is everything.
I think what's particularly interesting about the way Floki advertises itself is when you look at these smaller market meme coins, at least, it's sort of guerrilla marketing. It's the way they promote themselves on Twitter. It's the way that their community shields them in replies, or does something stupid like get a tattoo or something like that. Whereas Floki, like you said, they're sponsoring me as a Brit. I'm always watching the Premier League, and Nottingham Forest are sponsored by Floki. And I remember seeing that, being like, oh wow, this is a big meme coin that is sort of going the professional route of partnerships. The other brands that you would see are sort of like cars and mobile phone companies and stuff like that. Why do you think it's important to go that route rather than the like more mainstream sort of guerrilla marketing strategy?
Well, number one, it's more difficult to do what we've done, right? And then here is the fork in the road, right? When retail floods into blockchain, when major institutional investors start flooding into blockchain, they're going to look for the serious players. And the problem with some of these memes is that they overtly tell you, like, hey, nothing's going to come out of this, right? This is just for fun. And there's a, that's fine, right? But that's not us, right? We want to be like a regular Fortune 50, Fortune 100 company, right? A multi-billion-dollar industry, company within an industry that has multiple, different avenues of success, whether it be in DeFi, whether it be in GameFi. I mean, if you really start looking at what the future holds in terms of growth, there's certain sectors you want to be in. You want to be, embedded with AI. You want to be embedded in the gaming industry, which is massive, and then obviously tokenization, which is estimated to be at 16 trillion by 2030. When if you look at what we're doing, we have our hands in those cookie jars, right? And we want to be ready, right? When the regulation is right all over the world, we will be ready. And all these markets that are sprawling with crypto adoption, we have a firm platform there. We want to be prepared. In order to do that, you have to set yourself aside. We're not here for one season. We're here to be a powerhouse. And this isn't throwing shade to any other project. It's just they're just in our way.
Yeah.
They're just in our way, and we need to deliver for our community. And out of all the things that we do well, our most valuable asset is our community. Because at Floki, you're not a holder, you're family.
Let's talk about community. That's the perfect bridge over to that conversation. Aside from marketing, I think community is the number one most important factor when it comes to the success of a meme coin. When you're a smaller meme coin, you're pump.fun or even beyond that, it's kind of easy to handle that community. You've maybe got 1,000 people in your Telegram. But at this point, when you've got, I think you said 500,000 community members, I think you've got something like 81,000 token holders. When you're at such a huge amount of people, 500,000 people, you say, how do you organize and keep that community happy?
Again, you need to function like top 100 company, right? You need to, number one, have communication vehicles to keep people updated, right? And you utilize your socials to be able to do that. Telegram is a wonderful tool, but obviously, like, there's Discord, there's all these other avenues that you can utilize. Obviously, X is like really important to keep people updated. You want to be able to have a platform for people to get information and be able to give information. So we typically have like weekly like VCs where we get an opportunity to update everybody on everything that's happened in the last 7 days. We usually have like a midweek update report because, mind you, people are busy. They don't have time to hear about all the updates for the project. And to be fair, most projects don't have a lot of updates, right? Like every week, right? It's usually like a quarterly report or a newsletter. At Floki, you take a vacation for a week, you're going to miss something, right? And on these platforms, there's always an opportunity for questions. So if somebody, is in Singapore and they're like, oh, I saw that you guys, that the token platform and the trading bot came out, like why, like what's the success, behind that? Like what's driving it? Why are we getting so much volume? That's a fair question. Mind you, usually people, get on when they're on their way to work or they're on their way back and they just have a genuine question. We want to be able to field those questions. Right, so I think that's one way. Two, you need a good mod team, right, on TG to make sure that people get the information that's necessary. Because sometimes it's very simple, like, hey, I'm having an issue and I can't, use this DEX. Like, do I have the right contract? It's something that's so basic as that deserves to be treated with silk gloves because you have to put yourself in the shoes of somebody that just started crypto today. And if you can go back to when you started, it's a scary place, right? Like you don't know where to get your info from, and you're like, "What do you mean? I gotta put copy and paste? Like why? Why isn't shouldn't it be easier?" So it's all these things that you need to learn. You want to be giving them information. You want to be transparent when like deadlines aren't met for whatever reason, and also just have an opportunity just to vibe with the community. Right, and we'll open up spaces like a VC on TG, and people can just vibe. Outside of that, the community needs a way to be able to participate in certain things. So there is opportunities to do campaigns and contests where individuals could, for example, go to wherever we have a specific campaign. For example, like in Nigeria or recently in Vietnam, people can go there, take a photo or video by the billboard, like send it in, and they could take part in like a certain giveaway for some funds. But I think the biggest thing, right, is treating everybody that's in your community with respect, dignity, and the highest levels of moral fiber and ethics. But over that, you need to seed power, right? You need to give every community member, every holder, an opportunity to decide the direction that the project's going to go in, because respect goes both ways. Trust goes both ways. When you give token holders an opportunity to vote via DAO, they decide, right? And some of these things are very strategic, right? Whether, we want to burn like excess tokens, whether we want to launch a staking platform, it could have said no, but they passed and approved the proposal. So our history has changed because our community has voiced what they wanted, and then those decisions are binding. Right now, the core team has to deliver. So it's like a very, very wonderful thing to see that. So the core team continues to deliver for our community continues to give an input. And then there's that duality where every ecosystem product that we have, our community is the first to actually like test it. And we see that with our game that was built by us for us with input from our community. When we launched our trading bot, the testing, in the beta phase was done with our community, giving input like, oh, we should do this. We should have this enhancement for the UI, UX experience. So there's so much that goes into it, but you can never lose focus on your community.
It seems like it's been working so far. I guess one question is, in the scenario that either the community messes up a little bit or the core team make a mistake, I'm interested in how you deal with that in sort of recovering from those kind of mistakes. I'm not sure of every mistake Floki's ever made, but one that comes to the top of my head was early on, I think it was 2021, you guys did a advertising campaign on the London Underground. I remember seeing this myself, and it said Miss Doge buy Floki or get Floki or something like that. And then you guys got investigated with the British ad regulators. I thought it was kind of funny at the time, I'll be honest. But obviously you got yourself into some slight legal issues there. What did you guys kind of learn from that whole process of making a mistake and recovering from it?
Yeah, so a couple things. Number one, it wasn't a mistake. And I think it depends on how you look at things, right? Anytime that there's a campaign, right, especially a marketing campaign, like there's legals, right? The publishing company and the individuals doing the marketing, they have to do their due diligence, things get approved. What happens is in the blockchain space, sometimes you do things and you ruffle feathers. And then individuals take an opportunity to look at something that maybe they weren't paying attention to too much at the time, and then now the regulations and laws actually changed, right, because of our campaign. So while some people say that it was like a mistake on our part, that's actually not accurate, right? What happened is that we moved forward on an approved campaign that brought Floki into the discussion in Parliament, right? And you have all these cabinet members that now have to decide, right? And but that's where we belong. We belong in the conversation with all these major global leaders, right? So what ended up happening there is that our campaign continued, right? And then we actually were able to utilize it as a bridge that, Floki, we don't do politics, we do ecosystems. So and we continue to move on. But again, it's how you take these punches. It's how you look at these challenges and move forward. Most projects would feel defeated and move away and not even go to this market. But again, we emulate a lot of the same things that we've grown to understand from the Vikings of old, which is like there's no retreat, there's no surrender, right? We're here to make our presence known, and we will, like breach the walls, right? Obviously, everything done within the framework, right, of being, legal, but we pushed forward and we delivered for our community.
Are you saying that you sort of consulted a legal team before doing that advertising campaign? They said it's not illegal, but that you might ruffle some feathers, as you said, and then you get the law changed, but you didn't break the law because the law didn't exist.
Yeah, so well, I can't get into like the details, right? Just what you would grow to expect from any major multi-billion-dollar company is that they have a very strong and robust legal team. Such is the case with us, at Floki, period, right? How it happened and how other regulators look at it is completely, like upon them. What we don't do is we don't turn away. When we go somewhere, we burn the boats, right? Like that's who we are. And if for us to not stay within that same framework would just be disingenuous to the very spirit that brought us here.
That was one way that we've seen the meme coin and crypto industry as a whole change since you guys arrived 3 years ago. What are the main changes you've seen to the meme coin market during this time?
I would say that the floodgates have been open. So now anyone could create a project with $50, $100. So there's a lot of different copycats, a lot of scams. There's a lot of different like bad actors, right? Like in the space, and that's like worrisome, right? But again, if you do your own research and you have a blueprint, right, you understand what to look for. So if you make it easier for people to do projects, there needs to be enhanced education options, right? So people could understand not only financial literacy, but digital security and then research. So I think one of the things that's absolutely changed is that there's a lot more projects. Right. The proof of concept is there, obviously. And then you have a lot of folks, and this is fueled by just, regular, individuals that are trying to make a dollar, as well as for those that have been quite successful in blockchain and have, very, very, large war chests, are also you're potentially funding some of these other projects. But I think there has been a growing trend to try to look at projects as being like more professional in nature, right? And not necessarily by the utility that they offer, but more like in the investments that they make in terms of utilizing influencers or like marketing campaigns. They're spending a lot more money on sponsoring events, and I think that that's something that's like very easy to do, because with these meme projects, it's not like Tesla, for example. You think of Tesla, you think of Elon Musk, like he's there, right? Like you can see him, you can follow him, right? Some of these meme projects, you don't really know who the teams are, right? You don't know, like well, how can I find somebody, right? It's always like an avatar. So it's no mistake, right, or coincidence that like here at Floki, their community relations officer, myself, is like fully doxed in here so that your audience could see, because it's important. You want to be able to see somebody, right? Talk to somebody, look in their eyes, because you could write an incredible memo and post it, but you could see that not only do I believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, but like I live them, right? And I've seen it, and people need to understand. Not because I want them to invest. I'm not a financial advisor. I represent our community, and they deserve that their story be told. I think that projects are spending a lot more like on marketing, and I think that there's a lot more projects in general. And I think that there's been like a heightened focus on it being okay to just be a meme with no utility. Right. I think we've seen a big, big spike in that. And I think that people are really looking at like the animal memes, right? Or just anything that's funny. And I also have seen that there's those that are just waiting for like the right thing to happen in the world, you know? So let's just say we're having this conversation right now. Okay. And then I get an alert on X that Elon Musk is going to buy a cat, and the cat's going to go be the first animal to go to Mars.
Yeah.
Whatever name that cat has, there's going to be a token probably within the next 10 to 15 minutes, right? And maybe like a
I
hundred
think I
copies,
think less than that.
right?
I think seconds.
And maybe that's a good thing, but I think those are like some common themes that I've seen. But within it, the one trend that I think is really, really important is the fact that memes are outperforming other like major assets in the blockchain space. So there is definitely a proof of concept there. And second, from an institutional standpoint, now you have major like investment in hedge firms that would deal with stocks and like bonds, and now have to look a meme portfolio, which is like,
Yeah.
which blows your
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. Great place to
Yeah,
be.
I had someone on here who owns a hedge fund, and his hedge fund actually invested in Dog with Hat when it was only 1 cent, and it's completely changed his and his hedge fund's opinion on meme coins, and they agree with you. It's outperforming the rest of the crypto market, and they're very heavily invested in sort of the blue chips. So they probably own a little bit of Floki. Looking at those changes that have happened throughout this time, I'm really interested in hearing how much of that do you think Floki actually influenced?
Well, it's actually like measurable, actually, because if you were to trace back, right, when Floki was launched and we started having that success, look at all the copycats that have some type of Floki in it, right? That in their
Yeah.
title, right? Once you're a trailblazer, people are looking at your back, right? Not because they're trying to surpass you, but they're like, okay, look at what they did, right? And that's happened all throughout history, right? All throughout mankind. So why should blockchain be any different? It's just we're on our own speed and we're steadfast, right? Other folks run real fast when it rains. They go under a tree. Rain, snow, sleet, hail, doesn't matter. We're trekking along, right? I'm constantly developing. So I think that Floki absolutely, ushered in of what was possible after Doge and Shiba, right? Because when after we saw like what Doge was able to do and what the power of the community, Shiba Inu was like, oh, this is cool. Well, how about we do what made Doge successful, but add a couple other things to it, right? Let's get a little bit, creative, see what marketing things can happen, which was smart, right? Giving, Vitalik all that Shiba Inu was smart, right? It was earned media. And then we started looking at things a little bit differently. And then what Floki was able to do was say like, look, you could be a meme, you could offer utility, but the marketing is going to be on the next level, at the level where you would see an exchange do, but at a fraction of the funds spent. So that's absolutely like our magic sauce, right? That blend of, massive marketing, arm with utility, with meme, with an incredible community all put together. So I feel confident in saying that we absolutely, made an impact in the meme space. But I think our biggest impact is yet to come, right? Because with, mind you, everything we've done, but many of our ecosystem products are either not fully developed or haven't launched as of yet, right? So if you measure us by the successful products that are on the market, whether it's our Flokify token locker or our trading bot that just, is going to cross 100 million in volume, maybe even today, right? Because it was like 99 something million when I checked earlier this morning. Think about what Valhalla is going to do in the blockchain space, what our education platform under University of Floki is going to do. I mean, when we were looking at our total value that was staked in our ecosystem, once it crosses over a billion, people are going to start really paying attention, right? And we've come, like well into like the mid $700 million of total value locked across our ecosystems. So for your audience, mind you, that's not the market cap. Market cap is different. This is what's locked with people believing in our ecosystem. Once it crosses over into a billion and continues to move on, I think big traditional investors are going to look and be like, wait a minute, there's something special here.
And it would be so interesting to watch it unfold. Last question. Do you think the meme coin market has got better or worse since Floki launched?
But it all depends on how you define like better, right? Because the 2021 gave just such a surge, right? From the beginning of 2021 all the way up to the end of 2021, we saw incredible growth. I think that the meme project has, just meme category in general, I would say has improved from the use case perspective, right? Because now in conversations, you hear people talk, right? If you're if you're in blockchain, right, and you've got friends and you put your 10 friends together, they're not all going to agree on everything. You got the folks that are like, yeah, for sure, you're going to be able to buy a Tesla with Doge. I'm telling you, it's going to happen, right? Like you've got all these different conflicting opinions. But I think that we're in the conversation, right, with traditional assets and other investment instruments, right? And that's big. Number two, I think the meme space is taking advantage of all the information that's out there in terms of Bitcoin, the BTC ETFs, the ETH ETFs, right? So rising tide does lift all boats in that sense. So as people start hearing more about blockchain, they try to find a project that speaks to them, right? Which is why the meme projects are so successful, because it's an easy way to get in, right? It's cool, right? When you look at Bitcoin, like there's really like nothing like behind it. It's like just kind of like gold. You don't see marketing campaigns for Bitcoin in that sense, right? But when you look at a project like Floki, you're like, wait a minute, it was on Formula One. I'm seeing this in a collegiate, or a professional sports team. They sent a token right to space. Like all these different things that are going on. So I think the meme space is better, not necessarily in terms of market cap, but the environment for it, right? That it's a lot more successful for a meme project to be launched today and be able to see some, gravity of success, which is why you're seeing so many go out. And you could back this up, right, on a quantitative basis, just on the sheer number of tokens that are being released every day. So it's certainly a good time to be in blockchain. We're going to see history in one way or another. And I truly wish that most projects can be successful as long as they're ethically sound.
It's an exciting time to be in the meme coin space and crypto as a whole. 100% agree. Thank you so much for joining me, mate.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.